Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Weekend Winners in association with Bet Victor. You know the score by now. This is your go-to show for your best bets ahead of the weekend. And this week we have a huge race to preview. It is the King George. As well as that, though, we will also be looking ahead to the Sussex Stakes at Glorious Goodwood next week as a bit of an anti-post nod towards that race. And I'm going to be looking at all of these races in my usual company of Declan Ricks and Sam Boswell. Dec, how's your week been?
Yeah, been good. Been very, very busy. Anytime Ascot races at theraces.com and Sky Sports Racing are busy, put a lot of time and resource into that. And then we've had the Racing League as well. Been busy, but that King George just makes up for everything.
Like you say, it is just coming at us thick and fast at the minute, isn't it? But yeah, we've just such a cracking race to look forward to, Sam.
Yeah, really excited about that. Been a busy week. Newbury yesterday, more sponsorship there. Got a great offer coming up in the show as well for anyone that doesn't have a Bet Victor account. Stay tuned for that. And we managed to find a couple of winners last week, Dec, so let's hope we do the same again.
We did. I love every time we find a couple of winners. Sam or you sound surprised, you know. But it's probably a fair call of what's been going on. But yeah, the two girls did us proud from Ballydoyle, Emily Dickinson and Save the Last Dance.
I know, very well done to the pair of you two.
And you had another girl that won as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I can't even remember what happened last week now. Relief Rally.
Yeah,
Gosh, she was good, wasn't she?
She
She'll
was
win
good.
wherever next time out, we would have hoped anyway. But yes, very well done. We're all on the girl bandwagon last week and they managed to do us proud. Hopefully, we will find you some more winners this week. But before we get on to the action, a reminder to please do gamble responsibly. That our tips are not guaranteed to win, but we will still do our best to point you in the right direction anyway. And also a reminder to like and subscribe to the At The Races YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. Right, we have good action coming up, so we had better crack on with it. But we are beginning at Ascot then. This is with the 150. This is with the Princess Margaret Stakes, a Group 3 for the 2-year-old fillies over 6 furlongs. Declan, who wins this one?
Well, if you guys allow me, I'm going to have 2 darts at this race this week.
You're pushing it. You're pushing your luck.
Comat has won and Cry Fiction is the other. But we'll start with Comat first there because I think, as you can tell by the prices, she's probably got the better chance of winning here. I just think with all the rain they've had at Ascot now, this race is going to, it's going to be a serious test of stamina over 6 furlongs for these 2-year-old fillies. And I just like Comat. She's been getting better with every run. She's had 3 starts at Redcar, at Vichy, and then last time out at Royal Ascot in the Albany Stakes. But last time out was the best she looked, I thought. She finally kind of hit the gates well and travelled well, started looking sharper again. But the race just happened a little bit too quickly for her. She was kind of, she was in top gear straight away. But I loved her tenacity and her staying power to get back into kind of the finishing places later. I think she finished 5th in the end. She's by Cable Bay out of an Australian mare. I think she's going to get 7 furlongs in time, no problem to her. And she's already run on really soft ground at Redcar at the start of the season. So I just thought, if it turns into a kind of a stamina test, it could really suit her. So I do like Comat at a price. I think she's a big player. She's definitely overpriced at 11-1. And the other horse was Cry Fiction. Now, she caught my eye at Windsor at the start of the season on Sky Sports Racing. She was so incredibly green and she still managed to win. If it's worth going on to attheraces.com and watching this race, she was green away, green into stride, and she was like, after 100 yards, she did not have a clue what was going on. Got a quick reminder. Then the way she went through the race like a filly with a serious touch of class. And then late in the race, she was carried left. But her attitude really is her trump card. She then went to Newmarket last time out, was well beaten by a nice Godolphin filly now. But I thought even through greenness, she again showed that she was progressing. And I think the Ascot 6 furlongs will suit her better than the Newmarket July course, because I think 3 out, she raced on a wing. She got a little bit lost. Again, I think she could stay a little bit better, and as I said, her attitude is her trump card. I think you're going to need a filly with a strong attitude to go close in this race. So yeah, those are going to be my 2 picks at Ascot in the 150.
Now, Sam, Dec did say about the ground there and that the extra stamina probably going to come to the fore for his fillies. Now, the ground we had better just touch on because good to soft in places at present, but what are you working on the basis of?
I'm working, it's going to dry to just slightly the softer side of good. Ascot does dry so quickly, but as Declan said to me earlier, he's like, you've got to keep your eyes peeled. There could be a few showers around, but fingers crossed it ends up at sort of the fairest possible ground. But we need to change your name, Declan, on Twitter, I think, to the Dutching Declan. I mean, 2 picks in a race like this. In fairness, both double-figure prices. And I've actually looked at something slightly bigger as well in the market, Kate. I really do respect Clive Cox's favourite here, that I think will end up being clear favourite, Symbology, but I'm not sure the race at York was particularly strong. That the horse won, and I came down on looking through the stats and trends. You kind of do tend, since 2017, to want a horse that's had a couple of runs and improved, and sort of Dazzling Star for me stood out at a bit of a price. And you go back through the first run she had at Kempton was absolutely awful. I mean, genuinely, till the last 2 furlongs, she didn't look like she was a racehorse, but absolutely has improved no end at Newmarket next time out. That race wasn't the strongest, but it was the manner of the victory. Pulled clear, hit the line with plenty of running, and I think will take another step forward. Really nicely bred, and you know, the Appleby team well and truly back on track. And it's a horse that you sort of expect to kick clear again, and I think will relish this. And I thought at 9-1 you could even play the horse each way as well. So another fairly decent price selection. So there's 3 between us so far.
Yeah, three between 2 people, which is a good going. And now I'm going to...
Soon to be 4, I think.
Soon to be 4, exactly, between 3. Yeah, we're making them count. Because initially when I looked at this race, I thought, OK, Soprano, definitely want to keep on side. Of course, she ran on Thursday, though. And I was quite disappointed with her as well in that run. So we're not expecting her to turn out again here, for all that she is joint favourite at the head of the market at 3-1. So on that basis, going to take her on with Pretty Crystal at 100-30, just for 2 starts to her name, winning her debut when she was well backed and justifying that at Ripon, before she ran a cracker at a big price of 33-1 to finish 3rd in the Albany, just 1.5 lengths behind Soprano. Actually finished behind Soprano then, who was 3rd, proving herself, though, up to that calibre of competition. I'm expecting her to get further in time, seeing as she's out of a Group 3 winner, over 7 furlongs on soft ground, being by Dubawi, so soft conditions, over 6 furlongs at Ascot. All of those factors should see her to optimal effect as she continues to improve for time and experience. So, as you say, 4 selections there between 3 of us. Do let us know any further selections, though, that you may have for our first race that we're looking at Ascot on Saturday in the comment section below. And we will move on to our next race. This is the 2:25. This is the Group 3 Valiant Stakes for the fillies and mares over a mile. A trappy little contest here, though, Sam. So who wins it for you?
Yeah, this is a really good race, though, as well as it's trappy, Kate. I really think there's a load of different angles here. Random Harvest heads the betting. There's been a small sample size, but horses older than 4 have not got a very good record in this race. There's been a few 5- and 6-year-olds that have tried it and not really ran particularly well. Obviously, coming down to this level, I suppose, is the fair favourite, but Anaya for me is a really intriguing runner at 4-1, and I'm hopeful of seeing more support for Roger Varian's horse. A massive layoff to overcome, something like 430 days, but you go back through the form book, the second on debut was a really good run. That was quite a deep maiden as well. 15 runners, got bumped in running, was arguably a little bit unlucky. Since then, stepped forward and won really takingly to win. And I just thought the Guineas run as well. If you look at the 2 horses that finished in front of her and behind her, they've gone on to achieve plenty. And in the context of this kind of race, if she's the same level of those, albeit first time out, which is a big ask, she really should be up to winning something like this. And Roger Varian and his team, really good at bringing horses back from breaks. And I just kind of felt 4-1's probably as short as I want to take, but I felt she was really interesting. But Johnny Murtagh's horse in here, very young and unexposed, 3-year-old, just the 2 starts to her name. It is a really interesting race.
It is, isn't it? Like I say, so many question marks to have to answer, and you've just touched upon the said question marks that your selection is going to have to answer, which is quite a big one, but is with the right yard, though, probably to be defying that sort of a break. So then, Sam is taking on the head of the market deck. Where are you looking?
Yeah, I'm going to take on the favourite as well. I think now, to be fair to her, on the back of her Duke of Cambridge run, you know, that's probably is the leading form in the race. But she was disappointing, I think, in the Falmouth. For all it was a Group 1, maybe things didn't pan out for Random Harvest that day. I think there was a stiff headwind at Newmarket that day, and Safi Osborne didn't really get any cover. But she was really disappointed with how she weakened. So I'm happy to take her on, especially as Roman Mist and Mysterious Lover, 2 fillies who also like to go forward. So I don't think she'll get an easy lead up front. But I actually came down on Caddo Bell of Johnny Murtagh's. Jamie Spencer's been booked for this filly who's going to travel over from Ireland. She went straight into my tracker the evening she won at Gorham Park over 7 furlongs. You know, I think any horse that can win over 7 first time out at Gorham slower and is generally sharp. And I just thought through greenness and 7 furlongs just being on the sharp side for her, she still managed to win. Now, she hit the line really well. Now, that wasn't much of a race, but she took a big step forward next time out at Navan in a listed race. Just looked sharper. She looked all round better. She's by Harry Angel now. A lot of his progeny can be really flighty, but she is very uncomplicated. She's a professional. She doesn't even wear a cross noseband or anything. So I'm thinking if she can take another jump in terms of the jump that she took from debut here, like she'll take an awful lot of beating. I don't think she has that much to find with Random Harvest on their 2 recent runs. She's an unbeaten in 2 filly, big leggy filly by Harry Angel. Everything about her says she can be better, and I'm hoping she's going to be better on Saturday.
Yeah, and she does look so uncomplicated, as you say as well. I love that when they have nothing on their bridle whatsoever, just very, very straightforward. But I'm going to take on the pair of you two because I'm with Random Harvest here. I'm just hoping that the drop down in grade should really see her to best effect. And she's being ridden by the woman of the hour, Saffie Osborne, taking the ride after her domination at the Racing League on Thursday evening. So confidence has to be high after the treble that she achieved at Yarmouth. And hopefully that will translate to Random Harvest at Ascot, who ran such a cracker when she was second at Royal Ascot in the Duke of Cambridge, only missing out by the narrowest of margins there. Now, she wasn't seen to the same effect last time out at Newmarket in the Group 1 Falmouth Stakes, as you say, Deck, but she did get a bump, though, 2 furlongs out, just when she was getting outpaced at that stage, so not too much was expected of her against that calibre of competition anyway, her price being reflective of that. So I'm just hoping that she can make it count, get the confidence back at a venue she absolutely adores anyway, and down into this level. Hopefully that will be enough for Random Harvest for me, but Sam, just to reiterate.
The unexposed returning from a layoff, Aneo, to defy the layoff.
To defy the layoff, goodness me, I really hope she doesn't. Deck.
And the even more unexposed Caddo Bell for me.
OK, you two then with the unexposed ones. Right, we have all disagreed there. Again, 3 different selections in our second race, but do let us know your own selections for that race in the comment section below as we move on to our next race at Ascot. This is the 3 o'clock. This is the International Stakes, a heritage handicap over 7 furlongs at 3 o'clock. Super competitive Ascot handicap, Declan. So who do we fancy here?
This race was absolutely bananas competitive. I think I had a short list of about 10, so anything could win here. I ended up coming down on Fresh. You know, actually, before I go into hit the case around now, we probably should mention here, big field here, but I don't think it's going to be a typically kind of cavalry charge here at Ascot. I don't see an awful lot of pace in the race. Lots of horses who like to track the pace and go forward, but don't see kind of those really out and out kind of keen going front runners on here. So it is a race that could get a little bit tactical. I know Fresh is a hold-up horse, but I don't think that will bother him at all. He's a horseman who's got plenty of gears. And look, he obviously won this race last year, but I just think the case with him is his run in the Wokingham was incredible, really, because 6 furlongs and quick round is not his bag. You know, I think the softer conditions at Ascot on Saturday and going back up to 7 is really going to suit him. You know, we've seen time and time again with James Fanshawe bringing through these horses, these kind of late developers. He takes their time with them now. I know he's 6 and you would like to be looking at kind of those more unexposed horses in the race, but the Wokingham run was incredible. He just looked like a horse to me. He'd come back in really good form. And then you look to the others at the head of the market, the likes of Biggles and Valvertino and those kind of horses. They've had recent runs here, although it looks like with this horse, it looks like this has been the plan since he ran in the Wokingham. Danny Tudhope's a jockey who rides Ascot very well as well. So yeah, I think that the case is pretty simple. It's softer ground, back up to 7 at a track he loves. So yeah, Fresh will do for me, please.
I can't believe that the pair of us two are going to be taking on Biggles. He's
Good
done
old
so
Biggles.
many turns, hasn't he? But there's no room for sentiment in this game, Sam, is there? You with him or where are you looking?
No, I respect Biggles, but at 5 to 1, I think I can try and find a bit of value elsewhere. Fresh, completely respect the argument made there. I'm off the Bardar train at 13 to 2, and the ground's going the wrong way, I'd say, for that one. So flicking through the race, I went back through the old records, and Richard Fahey's got a tremendous record in the context of just how competitive this is. 3 times he's won it since 2010. And Ramazan, I thought, for him was an interesting runner. Declan's touched on, obviously, the pace angle, and I kind of wanted a horse that could be versatile. And whilst he's not necessarily a bang-out out front runner, he has the option of being able to go forward. He's versatile on ground, having won on good to firm and on soft ground. His big field experience would be limited in comparison to others, but he finished third at the Curragh last year with, I think that was something like 19 runners, and ran a reasonable race in the Britannia when ending up ninth. Just too far, I think it's fair to say. Back down in trips, really interesting. Won an easy enough handicap last time out at Haydock. Has been nudged up £4 for that, but I just felt there's a bit more in the tank, and with a trainer like Richard Fahey, who clearly can target this race, I thought the double figure price was pretty generous, 5 places each way with ourselves. I'd certainly be disappointed if it's not there or thereabouts.
Yeah, with those extra places on offer, a good way to play it. I got stuck behind Richard Fahey's box for about 17 miles yesterday coming home from Yarmouth. So
I hope selection gets stuck behind mine then.
Yeah, hopefully every other horse will do the exact same as I experienced yesterday then in this race come Saturday. Now, I've gone for a big swing, hopefully not a miss in this race. I'm siding with the 66-1 outsider of the field. So what a race to be playing an outsider in. Hopefully that will come to fruition with Rhythm Master in here. Now, I ran the trends for this race and he did tick the most boxes of all, so I have to go with that. He's the correct age I want being a 5-year-old. He's also bang there in the ratings bracket with an official rating of 102. Now, he ran absolutely no race last time out when he finished last in the Buckingham Palace Stakes at Royal Ascot over this course and distance. But he was on totally the wrong part of a track and in his group of just 6 on the near side. So I'm willing to draw a line straight through that run anyway, where, as I say, he was outdone by the bias. And I prefer to look back to his penultimate start when he finished second at Kempton, where he was beaten by Mount Athos. So there was no disgrace in that. Mount Athos, a very short price favourite for it. That was back in March. So he had a bit of a break, and we know he's a horse where he needs his reappearance starts nowadays. And last year he won on his second start in a really competitive Newcastle handicap on his second outing of last season. So I'm hoping that that's going to be a similar path that he's going to follow this time around, really build on his reappearance. And he won well at the second time of asking, as I say, last season, when he was carrying a £2 lower mark than he's carrying here. Now, he does enjoy the all-weather, but by all accounts, as we know, a cliche in itself, all-weather form translating to Ascot. Hopefully that will be the case again then here. Consistency certainly isn't his strong suit nowadays, but if he's on a going day, we know the ability that he has, and he remains on a competitive mark. So at 66-1, race of this nature, I thought he was worth a squeak. So it's going to be Rhythm Master then for me. Deck.
I'm hoping the old boy Fresh can go back to back.
And Sam?
Ramazan for me, but fair play, Kate, swinging for the trees.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we will hope. We will hope anyway. I'm going to be playing my own bit of baseball then with this race and, yeah, hoping for a 6. But there are our selections for a super competitive handicap. Do let us know your own selections in the comment section below. As we move on to the big one, this is the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Stakes, the Group 1 over a mile 4 at 3:40. A real race for the ages here, guys. For all that, we have had a few fall by the wayside in the build-up this week, but we still have a cracking lineup where we have the Epsom Derby and the Irish Derby winner Auguste Rodin heading the way from the horse who finished second to him in the Epsom Derby before winning at Royal Ascot. King of Steel and next at 100-30. The older horse Hookham, after his reappearance win beating Desert Crown, is in next. Then it's the Coronation Cup Queen and Eclipse second, Emily Upjohn, hoping to rewrite the wrong from last year. Last year's winner, Pile Driver, in next from Irish Champion Stakes winner and Tattersalls Gold Cup winner Luxembourg in their next at 12-1. Same price about another horse who's hoping to rewrite the wrong from last year, Westover, 12-1 in next. But this is super competitive. The market would have it, though, between Auguste Rodin and King of Steel, the 1-2 in the Derby at Epsom. Now, Auguste Rodin, as we're seeing in vision, a hugely exciting and talented performer. And if he manages to do the Derby at Epsom, the Irish Derby, as well as this race, that would definitely put him into the pantheon of the greats. But King of Steel, I mean, Kevin Stott took a lot of flack for his ride in the Derby, though, where he went for the gap just at the time that suited his horse, perhaps hit the front too soon, in his opinion, and in some people's opinion, before being collared on by Auguste Rodin late on. I didn't buy into that theory at the time, so I'm more than willing to be forgiving of that. But Declan, this really is a race for the ages, so who wins it for you?
Oh, this really is an incredible race. Even with kind of Desert Crown out here, you know, which is disappointing. But, you know, in the words of Ron Burgundy, I'm not even mad. You know, this is so good. What a race. You know, you've got some really kind of hard-knocking older horses here like Pile Driver and Hookham. Then you've got the 3-year-olds coming from the Derby and Auguste, Rodin and King of Steel. And then you've got a filly in here as well doing it for the girls. And the girls were good to us last week, so I'm going to continue that theme. I'm with Emily Upjohn. I just look at the prices. I look at the prices at the head of the market, and I think she's got probably just about the best form. But then you factor in her sex allowance as well, and I think she's definitely the horse to beat. But she's a bigger price than Auguste Rodin, and she's a bigger price than King of Steel, so she'll do for me. Look, I just thought the run in the Eclipse was incredible. She was beaten by a genuinely progressive top-class 3-year-old colt who probably had a better run in the race compared to her. Everything about that Eclipse suggests it's top-class form. Beaten by a top-class horse, they pulled miles clear of the third and the fourth, and the time was outstanding as well. Going back up to 12 furlongs, I think will hopefully suit. You know, she is by Sea the Stars. I think maybe potentially that the one kind of little concern here, although it's a concern for a lot of the horses in the field, is just the ground. You know, we saw how devastating she was on Good to Firm at Epsom when she won the Coronation Cup. She had that wicked turn of foot, but she is a big, strong filly. From I think the distaff side of her pedigree is Barathea. I think she will handle the ground better than most, and obviously she did win a British Champions Day, which was October last year. For all, this is a much deeper race, but I thought Emily Upjohn was the horse to beat, especially at the price. I think she's overpriced at around 5 to 1. So in a belting race, I'm really looking forward to that bell ringing 3 out when they come in the turn and the hairs to the back of your neck and they are going to stand up. May the best horse win. Really looking forward to it.
Can't wait, yeah. And Sam, as Dex just said there, well, we've got a race for the ages here, and obviously we're hugely looking forward to it just from a fan perspective. But from a cold, hard betting standpoint, we are trying to look for those horses that are perhaps a bit overpriced, really, for ways to play it. But how are you playing it?
Yeah, really interesting. Just a quick recap on the market, because I do think it's fascinating. We've had the 2-3-year-olds heading the betting almost for as long as the market's been open, but Hookham's been the real kind of mover in recent days, and I think a lot of people are going to be keen to be with him. I'm not the biggest fan. I think he's a fantastic horse, but there is depth here. Just to mention, we're one of the few firms out there paying 4 places each way. With that in mind, I'm quite keen to take on Auguste Rodin. I wasn't too blown away with the Irish Derby performance. King of Steel, I think, is going to have a bit of an issue drawn in 3. You know, you've got Luxembourg in there, you've got Bolshoi Ballet in the inside. They could just give Kevin Stott a real headache, and fair play to him, because he's going to have nerves of steel, I think, to ride this race. Emily Upjohn, massive respect for her. Pile Driver, I think, could be a bit of a forgotten horse. But Westover, for me, at a double-figure price, 4 places, I think this might be the sort of race he needs to be seen at his best. A winner last time out in France in a small field affair. I just think...
Look at that knee action as well, that he could be suited to that ground a lot better than some. Sorry to cut across you, Sam.
No, that's fine. I do think you go back to the Epsom defeat. I was disappointed that day, but I kind of just think there's so much pace here that could really help him into the race. If you take the literal form of his run behind Equinox, he's a very good horse, and I think he's very overpriced at 12 to 1. From win perspective, he might be slightly vulnerable, but I'd be disappointed if he's not turning in for home and involved in the finish. Someone said to me the other day when we were talking about this race, is he a little bit soft? This will prove if he's a little bit soft or not. I don't think he is. Rafe Beckett in good form. I really, really am a big fan of him, and I think at the price he'll outrun his odds.
Yeah, and you sided with him last time out as well. I took him on because I am of that opinion where I think he is a bit soft. So he represents value for this clearly at 12 to 1, where he has been overlooked if you take him on the ability that he had shown previously to that. But in a race for the ages, as I've said a few times now, for me, that is still just not a price I'll be wanting about him. But the horse who is a price that I want to be keeping on side is dear old Pile Driver, the winner of this race last year. Now, I'm half convinced that this horse is as good as he is just to spite me, because maybe this is the narcissist in me, but I'm half thinking that the universe has conspired against me, because I worked with his dam, La Pile, at Philip Hobbs's.
Oh, wow.
She is still to this day the most terrifying horse I have ever known in my life. Absolutely terrifying. And when we found out she was going off to be a broodmare, all of us who worked with her sort of thought, oh, God, why on earth would you possibly breed from this mare? And ever since we have said that, Pile Driver has just gone from strength to strength to strength. And Le Pile just keeps producing these fantastic foals that are going on to Shag Pile and such like that we still have to look forward to. But Pile Driver, I've always had a soft spot for him then because I know what he's come from. So naturally, the heart is going with him. But besides that, anyway, he's just a horse where, again, it's become a cliche in itself, where he's just overlooked time and time again, always underestimated. But he's 3 from 3 over this course and distance, winner of this race last year. Now, 4 of the last 5 King George winners were aged 5-year-olds and over. But you do go back on the previous trends where the previous 18 went to 3 or 4-year-olds. But like I say, with the trends nowadays, the older horses cannot be discounted whatsoever. And then the 2 6-year-olds who went in were Swain and Enable, who had both won the previous year's race. So that bodes well for Pile Drivers to go back and hopefully double up in the King George this time round. Also prepping for this race on the back of a win is an evident positive. 6 of the last 10 winners have done that. Again, that bodes well for Pile Driver on the back of his Hardwick success. So we know that he loves this track. He is quirky in the finish. He does have those hanging tendencies, admittedly. But as I say, at 13-2, though, Pile Driver just has to be the value play for me to take on the young pretenders at the head of the market. So just to reiterate, Pile Driver for me, Deck.
I'm going to be with the girls here in Emily Upjohn.
And Sam?
Westover each way, but Kate, just to say, I understand that Pile Driver did a very nice piece of work at Newbury recently on away day. Someone told me, I'm not sure if that's particularly out there, but I'd say it's encouragement for you. And I think Pile Driver was on my shortlist.
And we've got a William Muir and Chris Krasick stable to earn at theraces.com where they discuss Pile Driver as well. Went live this week, so make sure you give that a read.
Oh, lovely. Definitely want to be catching up with that. But Sam, there is a Bet Victor offer as well.
Yes, if you disagree with us and you like the 3-year-olds at the front of the market, Bet Victor have got an offer for new customers. We have paired King of Steel or Auguste Rodin to get the job done, wing the King George, go into history and winning one of the best renewals we've ever seen. 33-1. As you can see, terms and conditions do apply on the screen. But yeah, good little offer if you fancy either of the younger horses to get the job done, unlike us.
A very good offer. Yeah, that price looks big, doesn't it, then, to be siding with either of those two. Right, they are our best bets then for the King George, but we will be heading over to the Sky Pad now, where we're going to be having an anti-post look at the Sussex Stakes, as well as giving our best bets for the weekend. Now, we've looked ahead to some of the really exciting races this weekend, but a really other exciting race that is coming up next week is, of course, the Group 1 Sussex Stakes at Glorious Goodwood. This is on the 2nd of August. Group 1 field here, then, over a mile. Sam, we do have a short price favourite at the head of the market, Paddington at 1-2, but well, how are you playing it at this stage?
Yeah, going to be incredibly unoriginal and just expect Paddington to win. We're on weather watch for Goodwood. Let's just caveat the start of this sort of conversation around that. There could be a huge amount of moisture due. They're really good at their going updates. Give them a bit of props for that because it's really helpful. But Paddington at 1-2, I think this race could end up 4 runners, maybe, potentially. I don't like taking 1-2 anti-post, but this is a very special horse, I think it's fair to say. Also, bomb-proof on softer ground, having 1 on heavy, and that's Irish heavy as well, which is proper heavy. 1 on soft, very imposing last time out, winning from a very, very good horse in Emily Upjohn. I know it's an incredibly unoriginal thought, but races like this, maybe you don't want to take 1-2, but just get excited about the fact we're going to hopefully see a very good horse turn up in Sussex next week. And I'm really excited to see him go to the well once again. They really are being very creative with the campaign around him this season, which is really admirable, and it really helps people get behind the flat season. People always complain, don't they? We don't see these horses for long enough. Well, we're seeing an absolute superstar, I think, on a very regular basis.
Yeah, he is the iron horse, though, isn't he? Like, it was reiterated before his last start, and then it was again then subsequently, where I'm with you there, where I looked at this race and I thought, right, I'm going to surely have to find another play in here. But the more I went through it, and as you say, the more that I fear this race is going to cut up, Paddington at 1-2, if we do only get a very small run of field, could actually look a decent price at this stage. Because in Spiral, I really like her. I think she's talented, but siding with her post her reappearance run is not for me. She's got those quirks, and I think if you're not catching her first time out, then you may just leave her going forwards. Nostrum, hopefully we'll get to see him. We're not entirely sure here, but 4-1 represents about the right price for me when he still has to up his game to be able to compete with Paddington even. Like you say, conditions won't faze Paddington however they turn up, and he is just the iron horse who will hopefully continue that trajectory and go in here. So Sam and I being pretty unoriginal with a 1-2 anti-post shot deck, but you're going to hopefully add a little bit of originality into it.
Yeah, it's just been great to see the two of you staying up for hours studying the form for this race, you know.
The annoying thing is we actually did.
Yeah, look, now the masses are already going to be crying here now at me with the selection. It's an anti-post market. I think you've got to factor that in here, and that's why I'm with Factor Cheval. You know, the ground at the moment at Goodwood is soft, heavy in places, and there is more rain forecast. Like we just saw the betting graphic there. How many of those horses may not run? You know, Modern Games definitely won't run on soft or heavy ground. You know, and Spiral might duck it as well. Chindit definitely won't run on that kind of ground. So, you know, we could end up here having a 4 or 5 runner race. But if you back a horse anti-post now and he finishes third on the day, we can get paid. And I just think Factor Cheval can do that. He's a horse in France who's got plenty of form on really soft ground. To be fair, he's pretty ground versatile to him. To be fair to him, he ran very well last time out behind Anmat in the pre-Disfahan. I just wish he'd kind of grow up and settle. He can be a little bit rank keen, and he races with his head up in the air. He is by Ribchester, but look, he handles the ground. I think he's a good each way bet because the race could cut up. You know, he's going to be ridden by Jared Mosse, so I'm hoping Mosse can work his magic in those white gloves and, you know, just bring him home in second or third. That will absolutely do here. It'll be a nice little earner, and who knows, anything can happen in a horse race. If Paddington doesn't fire, we could be on a good priced winner.
Yeah, 20-1 then. So you definitely are adding the originality into the mix with your French Raider. They are our best bets at this stage anyway for the Sussex Stakes as we look ahead to a glorious Goodwood. But we must look to the immediate future with our best bets for the weekend. So Deck, you're up first. Your nap next, best and long shot.
Yes, the nap this week is actually going to be at York. It's going to be My Prospero in the 3:15 there. I think this looks a good opportunity for him dropping in class. I don't think things have gone his way this season. Remember, he missed an engagement at Sandown at the start of the campaign. I think he scoped wrong. Then I thought he ran very well in the Lockinge, given the 1 mile on fast ground just isn't his bag. And I thought he ran well enough in the Prince of Wales Stakes, but I don't think much was expected of him that day. He was a pretty dirty drifter, if we're being honest. I think he was 9-2 out to 8-1. You know, in a race like that late market, that's pretty telling to me now. And I just get the feeling all wasn't well with him. Maybe his prep hadn't gone according to plan, but he still ran well, to be fair to him. As I said, this is a drop in class. His career best came last year in the Champion Stakes on ground with plenty of cutting it over 10 furlongs. That's where he's going to get at York this weekend for William Haggis and Tom Marquand. The next best we have already discussed. It's going to be Fresh in the International Stakes. He won the race last year. He is higher in the weights, but not by much. I think he can go in again. It's worth going back and watching his run in the Wokingham. You know, he really did get a good bit behind in the race. He was in top gear from the get-go, but I just loved how he finished out his race. He looked like a horse in really good order, and he's been kept fresh since to try and win this race. And then the long shot with our friends at Bet Victor paying 4 places. I think Luxembourg is probably one of the most overpriced horses in the race. I can easily see him going very close in this race. He ran well in the Prince of Wales Stakes, but I just thought that run was a clear indication that he needs to go up in trip. He's won on soft ground before. He won the Irish Champion Stakes on soft ground. I know he's not kind of sexy. He carries his head a little bit like Paula Radcliffe, but he is game, to be fair to him. And I just think the step up in trip is gonna really suit. I hope Shamie Heffernan pushes forward from the 1 draw and gets into a prominent position. And late in the race, if it's a Gus Road and coming up against him, I'm hoping Shamie will be at his strongest. So we shall see. But I think Luxembourg is very overpriced in what is a good King George. I want to take on those horses to the front of the market.
Yeah, and another one that probably represents that bit of value then as well, and has been a bit of a forgotten about horse in this race, admittedly. So good cases made by Dexam, but your own best bets.
Yeah, I think Deck and me maybe have been sharing notes again. I've definitely been copying him because my next best is going to be My Prospero. Again, I can only reiterate what Deck said, but the good news is got a different nap from him. Ancient Wisdom, do tune in on Sky Sports Racing to the 4:15 at Ascot. It looks an absolute cracker. You can expect around even money for this horse. It's won twice under James Doyle, and the first start there was absolutely no pace at all in the race, and sort of made the horse's mind up and kicked on and taught plenty to him that day, I thought. And then next time out, I just thought he was a very, very clever ride, pushed clear, definitely showed plenty of potential. Obviously off this Dabawi breeding line, and you just know that they're going to have plenty to find with him. Some really nice entries as well later on in the season, so potentially a bit of a hype horse to get behind, but you should be getting just about odds against there. My long shot, Westover, we've already spoken about. I just think with the 4 places on offer with ourselves at Bet Victor, well worth a look, and I really hope this stronger pace that we're going to get, bigger field, just draws out the best in him, because it is kind of D-Day for me and him. I think that race in France last time out was a great bit of placement, but I need to see him do it at the highest level.
Yes, okay then, so another one going for the King George for a long shot as well. Now my own best bets, I'm going for Random Harvest to start with for my nap. I'm hoping that the drop down in grade will really suit her here, where, as I say, I just think that she's the most talented in the field. I can forgive her run last time out in the Group 1 Falmouth because she got that bump 2 furlongs out just as she was weakening out of things then in the closing stages as well, but this should represent a good opportunity for her with informed jockey Safi Osborne on her back. My next best bet is actually going to be Aberama Gold in the Dash handicap. We talk about competitive handicaps. This is certainly one of those. This is in the 240 at York. Now, he finished 5th in this race last year. That was off of a £2 higher mark than he's carrying this time round. But he also has Mark Wynn's £3 claim off his back, so he's £5 better off. He just had the sole start now for David O'Mara last time out. I'm always fascinated by a David O'Mara yard switch. He did far too much too soon, just faded out of things, so hopefully he'll come forwards from that, from a £1 lower mark. And my long shot, I mean, it's going to have to be Rhythm Master, isn't it, at Ascot in the 3 o'clock. The International Stakes for Heritage Handicap, far better drawn this time round than last time out when finishing last at Royal Ascot. So hopefully he will then show his much better form, though. As I say, consistency isn't his strong suit, but hopefully he will be able to put his best foot forwards, because this mark is still competitive for him if he reverts back to form of his penultimate start. Right, that is everything from us on this week's show. A big thank you to Deck and to Sam for all of their hard work as per usual. A big thank you to you for watching. Do remember you can catch all of Ascot's action live on Sky Sports Racing throughout Saturday, and we will be back this time next week where we will be previewing the final day of Glorious Goodwood.